Welcome back to the Deep Dive. I'm really glad you could join us again. This is where we take a whole stack of incredible sources. We sift through them, try to pull out the most potent insights, and then really connect them directly to what it all means for your life day to day. Today, we're diving into something really profound, a core virtue, charity. But maybe not charity exactly as we first think of it, like just giving money. We're talking about something much bigger, a truly transformative way of being as it's illuminated in the Baha'i writings. So our mission today is to, really unpack this concept. We want to get beyond just the act of giving. We want to understand that profound shift in identity and purpose that happens when charity becomes, central to who you actually are. How does it go from something you do sometimes to something you fundamentally become? We'll be looking at foundational writings from Bahá'u'lláh, the founder of the Bahá'í Faith, and his son, Abdu'l-Bahá, who was the authorized interpreter. And we'll also draw on insights from Shoghi Effendi, the guardian of the faith, and look at some really illuminating stories, historical vignettes that bring these big principles to life. So get ready. I think your understanding of charity might just deepen quite a bit today.
Okay, so let's unpack this, charity. When most of us hear that word, our mind jumps straight to maybe donating money or perhaps, volunteering a few hours somewhere local. And look, those things are absolutely valuable, no question. But the Baha'i teachings, they present a vision that's, it's just so much more expansive. It moves way beyond simple giving. It becomes an integral part of, your identity, your purpose. It's really about a fundamental shift, a reorientation away from just focusing on yourself, your interest, towards this much broader concern for all of humanity. To really get a handle on this, let's start with a passage. This is from Lights of Guidance, and it really broadens the perspective right from the start. Here it is.
This Baha'i teaching of human fellowship and kindness implies that we must be always ready to extend every assistance and help we can to those who are in distress and suffering. Baha'i charity is of the very essence of the teachings and should therefore be developed in every Baha'i community. Charitable institutions such as orphanages, free schools, and hospitals for the poor constitute an indispensable part of the Mashriq al-Adkar. It is the responsibility of every local Baha'i community to ensure the welfare of its poor and needy members through whatever means possible.
Wow. Yeah, what jumps out immediately there is how it just blows open that narrow sort of transactional definition of charity we often have. It kicks off by framing it as human fellowship and kindness. Fellowship, kindness, and this constant readiness, always ready to extend every assistance and help we can to those who are in distress and suffering. So it's not just a one-off act, is it? It implies this proactive, deeply compassionate stance, something ingrained in your character and how you interact every single day. You're not, waiting for a specific appeal or some organized event. You're kind of actively looking for ways to help to ease suffering, whether that's emotional support or practical aid or maybe just a kind word, a gesture. It's really about building genuine connections, true fellowship, especially with people who are having a hard time.
That always ready part is key, isn't it? It's just a state of being, not just an action item on a list.
Exactly. And then it says something really profound. Baha'i charity is of the very essence of the teachings. Now, that is a critical phrase. It tells us charity isn't like an optional extra. It's not just a peripheral good deed you might do if you feel like it. It's central. It's core to what it means to be a Baha'i. It's woven right into the spiritual DNA of the faith itself. So if you're aiming to live by these teachings, then charity, in this really broad sense, it has to be a fundamental part of who you are, how you operate in the world. It's about embodying those principles of unity, of compassion in every fiber of your being, really, letting them manifest outwardly as an expression of your inner spiritual reality.
So if it's of the very essence, does that mean it's also physically built into Baha'i community life or its structures?
Absolutely, it does. The passage points straight to that, the institutional side. It mentions charitable institutions such as orphanages, free schools, and hospitals for the poor. And it says these constitute an indispensable part of the Mashriq al-Adkar. Now, the Mashriq al-Adkar, that's the Baha'i house of worship, literally the dawning place of the mention of God. But the vision for it is way more than just a place for prayer. It's conceived as this central building, but surrounded by these humanitarian agencies, these dependencies. So yeah, charity isn't just left to individuals doing their own thing. It's woven right into the structure of Baha'i community life. The physical embodiment of the faith actually includes dedicated spaces, structures designed specifically for social welfare, for service.
So worship and service are intrinsically linked.
Intrinsically linked. It's this vision of a society where spiritual devotion finds its highest expression in, intangible efforts to uplift humanity. And then there's that final part, a really clear responsibility placed on the collective. It is the responsibility of every local Baha'i community to ensure the welfare of its poor and needy members through whatever means possible. This points to a collective, almost systemic approach. It's not just about what individuals do on their own. It's about communities organizing themselves, collectively addressing the needs of their most vulnerable members.
How does that look in practice?
Well, it could involve direct aid, sure,
Yes.
but also creating opportunities, maybe advocating for justice, setting up support systems. It really implies this moral imperative for the community to act like a safety net, to make sure no one falls through the cracks, no one gets left behind. It's a kind of proactive communal stewardship of well-being. It shows that charity is a shared goal, a societal aim, not just a private personal virtue.
That's a really comprehensive framework. It definitely makes charity feel less like an occasional task and much more like a pervasive way of life woven into everything. And that leads us straight into something quite radical, this call for selflessness that really underpins this whole expansive definition. It's clearly not just about giving from your surplus wealth or time. It feels like it's asking for a complete reorientation of your entire life. Consider these really powerful words from Abdu'l-Bahá. This is from the Promulgation of Universal Peace. Forget thou entirely the ease, tranquility, composure, and living of this transitory world, and occupy thyself with the well-being and service of the human world. With purity and sincerity, we should sacrifice ourselves for the welfare of humanity. I desire that your hearts may be directed to the kingdom of God, that your intentions may be pure and sincere. Unmindful of your own welfare, nay, or rather, may all your intentions center in the welfare of humanity, and may you seek to sacrifice yourselves in the pathway of devotion to mankind.
Wow. That passage is a profound challenge, isn't it, to our very natural human inclination towards, comfort, self-preservation. When Abdu'l-Bahá says, forget thou entirely the ease, tranquility, composure, and living of this transitory world, that's radical. It's an instruction to shift our primary focus away from personal comfort, material things, even our own emotional calm, if that focus means turning away from the needs of others.
So it's not about becoming an ascetic necessarily?
No, I don't think it's about asceticism for its own sake. It's more about liberating yourself from being shackled by attachment to fleeting worldly concerns so that you can be wholly available for a higher purpose. This detachment isn't apathy, it's a kind of spiritual discipline. It frees up your energy, your attention for selfless service. It's a call to see this earthly life as a short opportunity to make a lasting positive impact rather than just, accumulating personal ease. And the reorientation of purpose is so clear. Occupy thyself with the well-being and service of the human world. This is where charity really transcends just giving things. It becomes about giving your entire being. It means your time, your talents, your thoughts, your intentions, everything is directed towards the betterment of humanity.
Your whole life's purpose shifts.
Exactly, a complete redirection, moving from a self-centered existence to a humanity-centered one. It's not just about what you do, it's about who you are deep down, what truly drives you. The wellspring of your actions comes from this genuine, heartfelt concern for the collective.
That idea, though, sacrifice yourselves in the pathway of devotion to mankind, that sounds incredibly demanding, maybe even overwhelming. How do individuals actually cultivate that kind of inner purity and sincerity when, let's be honest, our natural inclinations are often towards self-preservation, maybe even self-interest?
That's a really crucial question. And I think the emphasis on purity and sincerity is the key, because this kind of service, this sacrifice, it isn't meant to be for recognition or for feeling good about yourself or, self-aggrandizement. It has to come from an unadulterated place, a place of love, of genuine concern. The instruction that all your intentions center in the welfare of humanity that demands a complete realignment of purpose. It requires, I think, a constant internal check. Is what I'm doing or thinking or planning, is it truly contributing to the well-being of others? Or is it maybe deep down primarily serving my own interests?
That ongoing introspection.
Right. That ensures the service isn't just superficial, but it's deeply rooted in a transformed consciousness. And yes, this absolutely transforms service into a spiritual act. A form of worship, even. It's not just humanitarianism anymore, it's devotion. When you serve humanity with that kind of purity, that selflessness, it becomes a direct act of love for God. It suggests that the highest expression of faith is actually found in the depths of self-sacrifice for others, seeing every human being as essentially a manifestation of the divine, and therefore worthy of your utmost dedication and love.
So, bringing this all together, what does it mean for how a true Baha'i demonstrates their faith through action? If charity is this fundamental, this core, and it demands such radical selflessness, how do we, prove it? It sounds like words are definitely not enough.
Not enough at all.
And Abdu'l-Bahá gives us a very clear answer on this. This is from Paradox. A man may be a Baha'i in name only. If he is a Baha'i in reality, his deeds and actions will be decisive proofs of it. What are the requirements? Love for mankind, sincerity toward all, reflecting the oneness of the world of humanity, philanthropy, becoming enkindled with the fire of the love of God. It is they who help the poor and needy and give to them their daily bread. They love and care for the sick and are messengers of hope and consolation to the desolate and oppressed.
This passage just cuts straight to the heart of it, doesn't it? Authenticity. The core message is unmistakable. Actions, not just words or intellectual belief, are the decisive proofs of being a Baha'i in reality. It's easy to say you believe something, right? But true faith, in this context, is demonstrated through consistent, loving engagement with the world. It's about actually embodying the principles you claim to uphold.
So faith isn't just theoretical.
No, not a theoretical exercise at all. It's a living, breathing commitment that has to shape every decision, every interaction. It speaks to the integrity of one's spiritual journey. It emphasizes that your inner conviction, it must find outward expression to be truly meaningful. Otherwise, it's just talk. And then Abdu'l-Bahá lists the requirements, these core qualities that actually drive the actions. Things like love for mankind, this deep, all-encompassing affection for every single human being, regardless of their background or belief. Sincerity toward all, genuine, honest interactions, free from ulterior motives or pretense. Reflecting the oneness of the world of humanity, which means really seeing beyond all the superficial differences and recognizing that shared human essence in everyone.
Philanthropy is mentioned too.
Yes, philanthropy, but again, likely in its broader sense of active benevolence, love for humanity expressed in action, and crucially, becoming enkindled with the fire of the love of God. That's the spiritual wellspring, isn't it? The inner flame that ignites all these outward expressions of charity. These are the internal drivers, the transformed states of being that propel the outward action. This divine love isn't static, it's an active force fueling this almost insatiable desire to serve and uplift others.
So it's not just about feeling love, but about very specific, tangible ways that love plays out in daily life.
Yeah.
What are some of those practical expressions mentioned?
Precisely. The passage spells them out. It's they who help the poor and needy and give to them their daily bread. That's concrete, isn't it? Immediate assistance addressing fundamental human needs. Recognizing basic sustenance as a right and actively working to ensure others have it. But it goes beyond that into personal engagement. They love and care for the sick. That implies a compassionate presence, direct support, not just, donating to a hospital. And importantly, they are messengers of hope and consolation to the desolate and oppressed.
Messengers of hope.
Yes, offering emotional, spiritual comfort, standing with those who are suffering, being a beacon of light in their darkest moments. It really brings this abstract concept of charity right down to earth into tangible, everyday interactions. A kind word, a listening ear, a comforting presence, all rooted in this underlying love for humanity. It's about being a source of light and upliftment no matter the situation.
That sets such a powerful foundation. Charity as foundational, selfless, proven through action. So if charity is this comprehensive, this all-encompassing, how does it show up? Not just in maybe big gestures, but in our, daily character, our interactions. What does it actually look like day to day in our personal qualities?
That's a great question. How does it manifest?
Baha'u'lláh, in Gleanings from the Writings, gives us a really beautiful kind of roadmap for this. He states, "Be generous in prosperity and thankful in adversity. Be worthy of the trust of thy neighbor and look upon him with a bright and friendly face. Be a treasure to the poor, an admonisher to the rich, an answerer of the cry of the needy, a preserver of the sanctity of thy pledge."
This passage is wonderful because it shows charity as this holistic virtue, deeply intertwined with so many other noble qualities. It's not just about what you give, but really how you live. First, be generous in prosperity and thankful in adversity. Generosity isn't just for when you have lots, it's a state of mind, right? A willingness to give of yourself even when you're facing hardship. And being thankful in adversity, that keeps your spirit resilient, open. It prevents self-pity from closing off your heart to the needs of others.
So it's about an inner abundance.
Exactly. Cultivating an inner abundance that flows outward regardless of your external situation. It shows that true generosity springs from a grateful spirit, acknowledging blessings even amidst challenges. And that gratitude then inspires more giving. Then, be worthy of the trust of thy neighbor and look upon him with a bright and friendly face. This points to the importance of character in building a charitable community, doesn't it? Trustworthiness is absolutely fundamental to any meaningful relationship or service. And a bright and friendly face, that means being approachable, open, welcoming, radiating warmth and kindness in every interaction, making others feel seen, valued, safe.
That simple act of friendliness can be a form of charity itself.
A profound form, I think. Creating that atmosphere of comfort and ease for people around you, letting them feel accepted, respected, that often meets a deeper need than just material help.
I can see how that everyday presence is so crucial. What about the more active, direct roles mentioned in the passage? How does this character-based charity manifest in action?
Right. The passage outlines several active roles, too. To be a treasure to the poor, that implies being a constant source of support, a wellspring of sustenance and hope. Not just an occasional handout, but a consistent, reliable presence, offering both material and spiritual riches. To be an admonisher to the rich, that suggests a role of gentle spiritual guidance, perhaps encouraging those with wealth to think about their responsibility, to use their resources for the betterment of society, to practice moderation, share their abundance.
Not judgmentally, though.
No, not judgmentally, gently. Counsel aimed at fostering collective well-being, and an answer of the cry of the needy, that means being responsive, attentive to suffering, ready to act when someone's in distress, not turning a deaf ear or a blind eye. You become that immediate point of contact, offering a direct, compassionate response. And finally, a preserver of the sanctity of thy pledge. This really emphasizes reliability, integrity.
Your word is your bond.
Exactly. If you promise help, you deliver. That reliability builds trust, stability, which are foundational for a truly charitable, just society. It ensures people can rely on you with confidence, strengthening the whole community fabric. Charity isn't just good intentions, it's consistent, dependable action.
That paints such a beautiful picture of charity woven into character. It makes me wonder, though, how does our personal relationship with wealth and poverty itself fit into this? It seems like there's a really unique spiritual perspective here, going beyond just how much money or stuff you possess.
There absolutely is.
Abdu'l-Bahá delves right into this in the promulgation of universal peace. He says, O son of my handmaid, be not troubled in poverty, nor confident in riches. To be poor in all save God is a wondrous gift. Belittle not the value thereof, for in the end it will make thee rich in God. The mercies and bounties of God are with the poor. He admonished all that we must be the servants of the poor, helpers of the poor, remember the sorrows of the poor, associate with them.
This passage offers a truly profound spiritual take on material status, doesn't it? It challenges our usual ways of thinking about wealth and poverty. That opening line, be not troubled in poverty, nor confident in riches, calls for this spiritual detachment from our material circumstances. It suggests that neither being poor nor being rich should define your inner state, your sense of self-worth. True contentment, true security, they aren't found in external conditions, but in your relationship with God.
So it frees you from anxiety or arrogance.
Right. Freedom from anxiety over lack, and freedom from the potential arrogance or maybe complacency that can come with wealth. It's about cultivating this inner balance that transcends the ups and downs of the material world. Then comes that really radical idea. To be poor in all save God is a wondrous gift. Belittle not the value thereof, for in the end it will make thee rich in God. Now, this isn't romanticizing material poverty, not at all. It's elevating spiritual poverty, that state of utter humility, dependence, reliance on God alone.
Detachment from worldly things.
Exactly. In that state of detachment, you become supremely rich in spiritual understanding, in divine grace, in closeness to God. It suggests that letting go of attachment to earthly possessions or status actually opens up your soul to receive these profound spiritual bounties, far more valuable than any material wealth. It completely reframes what true richness actually means, shifting the focus from accumulation to spiritual transformation.
Wow, that is a powerful reframing. It makes me think about how the teachings so often seem to reverse our typical understanding of value. What about the idea that the mercies and bounties of God are with the poor? That seems to grant the poor a kind of special status spiritually.
It absolutely does. That statement is deeply significant. The mercies and bounties of God are with the poor. It elevates their status, implying the special spiritual closeness between them and God. It suggests that by associating with the poor, you're actually aligning yourself with that divine connection. It makes helping the poor not just an act of kindness, but an act of drawing closer to God's own mercies. It's a reminder that true spiritual wealth is often found in empathy and service to those society might overlook or marginalize.
And this spiritual understanding seems to lead directly to action, to connection.
Directly. He admonished all that we must be the servants of the poor, helpers of the poor, remember the sorrows of the poor, associate with them. Notice, it's not just giving to them from a distance, it's being with them. It calls for genuine interaction, empathy, solidarity. To be a servant implies humility, putting their needs first. To remember their sorrows means cultivating deep empathy, keeping their struggles in your consciousness. And to associate with them, that means breaking down social barriers, building relationships, sharing in their experiences, recognizing their inherent dignity and worth.
Fostering real community.
Yes, fostering a sense of true community where no one feels like an outsider and everyone's experiences are valued.
That's incredibly impactful, to be with them, not just give to them. It makes these lofty principles feel so much more tangible, more real. And what's particularly fascinating, I think, is seeing how these principles were actually lived out, embodied in the lives of Bahá'u'lláh and Abdu'l-Bahá. They provide these concrete examples that make the ideals relatable.
Absolutely. Seeing it lived makes all the difference.
It's one thing to read about it, quite another to see it in action. Let's look at a few vignettes. First, thinking about Abdu'l-Bahá's life as a testament to service. We read this in vignettes from the life of Abdu'l-Bahá. Service to God, to Bahá'u'lláh, to family, to friends and enemies, indeed to all mankind. This was the pattern of Abdu'l-Bahá's life. He wished only to be the servant of God and man. He used to say, "Nothing is too much trouble when one loves, and there is always time." He hired a doctor to look after the very poor, sent food and everything she needed, arranged a simple funeral, and paid all the expenses himself. And then this story from the home of Bahá'u'lláh, also from vignettes. It is told that in the home of Bahá'u'lláh, a poor Arab brought a load of wood. He handled the rug with great appreciation. Abdu'l-Bahá heard him and said, "If you like the rug, take it." Abdu'l-Bahá left 20 golden sovereigns and many handfuls of silver, so that the poor might enjoy a similar dinner New Year's night. And finally, a passage about Bahá'u'lláh himself from Bahá'u'lláh, the father of the poor. Bahá'u'lláh was not interested in titles and honors. His interest was in defending and protecting the poor and the needy. He expended his family's assets on a wide range of charitable endeavors. Be a treasure to the poor, answerer of the cry of the needy. If you meet the abased, befriend him and suffer him to recount the tale of the woes. By the righteousness of God, the concourse on high will, glorify your action.
These stories, they really do bring the principles to life, don't they? Showing how the central figures embodied these virtues constantly. Abdu'l-Bahá's life, described as this complete pattern of service to God, to Bahá'u'lláh, family, friends, even enemies, extending to all mankind. And he identified himself purely as the servant of God and man.
Oh.
That's such a profound statement of humility and purpose, and this famous saying, "Nothing is too much trouble when one loves, and there is always time."
That just captures it perfectly.
It really does. It encapsulates the boundless, energetic, selfless nature of divine love in action. It suggests that when love is the driver, obstacles, limitations of time, they just seem to dissolve. It's this endless reservoir of willingness, of dedication, flowing naturally from a heart overflowing with compassion. And the concrete acts mention hiring a doctor for the very poor. That shows a proactive, almost systemic approach to suffering, going beyond immediate relief to provide essential services. Sending food, arranging, and paying for a funeral for someone who might otherwise have been forgotten, these show such a deep, comprehensive, personal level of care.
Intimate acts of compassion.
Yes, not grand public gestures necessarily, but intimate acts that addressed practical needs, honored human dignity, relieved suffering in its rawest forms. It exemplifies a charity that's hands-on, deeply empathetic, unwavering in its commitment to every single individual's well-being.
It definitely sounds like Abdu'l-Bahá truly lived that principle, that charity isn't just what you give, but the genuine care you embody. And that story about the rug that seems to highlight that empathy even more vividly.
It absolutely does. Giving away a valuable rug just because a poor Arab admired it, that illustrates the spontaneous generosity that values the individual's joy, their need, far above material possessions. It wasn't strategic giving, was it? It was immediate, empathetic responsiveness to a genuine feeling expressed. It shows such a profound detachment from things and a deep desire just to bring happiness to another person. A heart so attuned it responds instantly, generously.
And the second part of that story, leaving money for the poor to have a New Year's dinner.
Right. Leaving the 20 golden sovereigns and many handfuls of silver so the poor could enjoy a similar dinner. That shows this desire for communal joy, for shared sustenance. It wasn't enough for his own family to celebrate. He wanted those less fortunate to share in the joy, the abundance of the season, too. That goes beyond just providing food. It's about inclusion, ensuring celebratory moments are shared across society, fostering collective belonging, shared happiness, a community where no one is excluded from joy. And as for Baha'u'lláh himself, the founder, we learn his interest was in defending and protecting the poor and the needy, and he expended his family's assets on a wide range of charitable endeavors. This is more than just giving. It's active advocacy, a willingness to use significant personal resources for the collective good. It shows that fundamental disinterest in personal gain or status, prioritizing the welfare of the vulnerable above everything else.
His life was a living example.
A living example of the principles he taught, embodying being a treasure to the poor, an answerer of the cry of the needy. Showing the teachings weren't just lofty ideals, but practical, livable principles. And then that profound promise at the end there. If you meet the abased, befriend him and suffer him to recount the tale of the woes by the righteousness of God. The concourse on high will glorify your action.
Concourse on high.
Yes, the spiritual realm, the celestial beings witnessing human deeds. This elevates simple human connection, empathetic listening, to a spiritually significant act. It means taking time to truly listen to someone's pain, befriending those who are marginalized or suffering. This is seen, it's honored in the spiritual realms. It makes every act of genuine human connection, every moment of shared vulnerability, a sacred exchange, recognized and glorified by God. It's not just about material aid, it's about the profound healing, the upliftment that comes from being truly seen, heard, and valued.
So what does all this really mean for our actions, speaking louder than words? It feels like the ultimate test of true faith, doesn't it? To embody these principles so profoundly that your whole life becomes a living testament.
It really does feel like the ultimate proof.
There's a compilation of writings from Bahá'u'lláh and Abdu'l-Bahá on Bahá'í charity and service that makes this incredibly clear. It states, charity is pleasing and praiseworthy in the sight of God and is regarded as a prince among goodly deeds. Be a treasure to the poor, an admonisher to the rich, an answerer to the cry of the needy, a lamp unto them that walk in darkness, a joy to the sorrowful, a sea for the thirsty, an upholder and defender of the victim of oppression. If we are true, Baha'i speech is not needed. Our actions will help the world. Therefore, strive that your actions day by day may be beautiful prayers. Enrich the poor, raise the fallen, comfort the sorrowful.
This passage really pulls it all together, the high spiritual status of charity and its profound practical implications. Calling charity pleasing and praiseworthy in the sight of God and a prince among goodly deeds, that immediately elevates it, doesn't it, to a position of supreme importance. It signifies that among all virtuous acts, charity holds this paramount place in God's estimation. It's not just a good deed, it's foundational, exemplary. Engaging in charity isn't just about social good. It's a direct path to drawing closer to the divine will, earning divine favor. And then the expansive role is reiterated through those vivid metaphors. A lamp unto them that walk in darkness, providing guidance, clarity, hope in times of confusion or despair. A joy to the sorrowful, alleviating grief, bringing light to heavy hearts through presence, comfort, support. A sea for the thirsty, fulfilling profound needs, spiritual and material, offering abundant sustenance, refreshment to those in desperate want. An upholder and defender of the victim of oppression, that active pursuit of justice, protecting the vulnerable from harm.
It's such a dynamic picture.
It really is. It highlights that charity isn't static. It's dynamic, multifaceted, deeply responsive to the diverse forms of human suffering. It requires versatility, courage, an open heart, ready to take on whatever role is needed for the betterment of others.
Those are beautiful images, being a lamp, a joy, a sea, a defender. But that idea that speech is not needed, that our actions alone will help the world, that feels like such a radical call to integrity.
Yeah.
How do we actually make our actions become beautiful prayers? What does that look like?
It is a radical call, and it's truly transformative, I think. That assertion, if we are true Baha'i, speech is not needed. Our actions will help the world. It posits that authentic belief isn't articulated through eloquent words or declarations, but through tangible, transformative deeds. Your life itself becomes the most eloquent sermon, the most convincing argument. It places the responsibility squarely on lived morality, making every single moment an opportunity to demonstrate your principles. It's an incredible challenge, really, to align our inner convictions with our outward conduct.
And making actions into prayers.
Yes. Therefore, strive that your actions day by day may be beautiful prayers. Enrich the poor, raise the fallen, comfort the sorrowful. This shifts the focus from formal ritual to lived experience. It turns every act of service into an act of devotion. Imagine that every time you help someone, offer comfort, uplift another, you are, in essence, offering a beautiful prayer. It imbues ordinary human interactions with this profound spiritual significance, making our daily lives a continuous act of worship. Enrich the poor, not just financially, but enriching their lives in every way, spiritually, socially, emotionally. Raise the fallen, restoring dignity, providing support to overcome challenges, helping people reach their potential. Comfort the sorrowful, being a source of empathy, solace in times of grief or despair. This perspective encourages us to see our daily conduct as a kind of sacred offering, constantly seeking opportunities to manifest divine attributes through how we interact with the world. #33, universal love and transformative action for the world.
That's a truly inspiring vision, transforming individual acts into these beautiful prayers. Now, let's unpack this even further. Let's broaden the scope of charity to encompass all of humanity, really transcending any distinctions we might normally make.
Moving to that universal level.
Exactly. Abdu'l-Bahá, again from the Promulgation of Universal Peace, states, "Be a home for the stranger, a balm to the suffering, a tower of strength for the fugitive, service to the well-being of the world. Service to mankind is the paramount motive of all existence."
This passage powerfully extends charity's reach, doesn't it? To embrace the most vulnerable among us, regardless of who they are, where they come from. Be a home for the stranger that speaks to offering unconditional welcome, refuge. Dismantling those notions of us versus them, providing security, belonging to those who are displaced, isolated, new. A balm to the suffering, offering healing, solace, comfort to anyone in pain, physical, emotional, spiritual, alleviating distress with a gentle, soothing presence, and a tower of strength for the fugitive, standing as a powerful protector, an advocate for those fleeing persecution, seeking safety, or who are otherwise defenseless.
It's incredibly comprehensive care.
Comprehensive, unwavering care for the most marginalized. It transcends national, ethnic, religious boundaries. It embraces every single human being as worthy of protection and love.
And that phrase, service to mankind, is the paramount motive of all existence.
Wow.
That really elevates service to like a cosmic level. What does it truly mean for service to be the paramount motive of all existence? How does that shape our understanding of our own purpose?
That's a profound question. And that declaration is arguably one of the most powerful statements in the Baha'i writings. It elevates service from just being a good deed to being the fundamental reason for human life. Our very purpose for being here, our ultimate aim, is to contribute to the well-being of humanity. This isn't just a moral suggestion. It's presented as a spiritual imperative, directly linking our individual lives to the grand divine plan for humanity's progress.
So finding meaning through service.
Exactly. True fulfillment, true meaning in life, it's found not in self-gratification, but in dedicating yourself to the betterment of the world. Our existence finds its deepest resonance when it's aligned with this overarching purpose of contributing to the collective good. It means our very breath, our every action should ultimately lead back to this one central aim.
Okay, here's where it gets maybe even more interesting, because this paramount motive, it leads to a truly radical inclusiveness in Baha'i charity. It seems to demand a level of love that actively challenges our natural biases, our tendencies to categorize or exclude people.
It really does push those boundaries.
Baha'u'lláh, in his Tablet of the World, commands this: "Ignite a candle of love in every meeting. Care for the stranger as for one of your own. Show to alien souls the same loving kindness you bestow upon your faithful friends. Let there be no outcast, no soul left in sorrow where your light has shone."
This is such a direct challenge to that human tendency towards tribalism, towards exclusion. Ignite a candle of love in every meeting that implies creating an atmosphere of warmth, welcome, unity wherever people gather. Transforming the space into one where love is palpable, radiating, cultivating an environment where every single person feels valued and connected from the moment they arrive, and the instruction to care for the stranger as for one of your own, and show to alien souls the same loving kindness you bestow upon your faithful friends. I mean, that is an incredibly high standard for universal love.
Treating strangers like best friends.
Essentially. It actively breaks down those instinctive barriers we often put up between ourselves and others. A stranger is unknown, maybe even viewed with suspicion. Alien souls pushes it even further, into realms of difference, cultural, social, religious, to treat them with the same love, care, kindness we reserve for our closest, most trusted friends. That requires a profound spiritual transformation. It demands that we see the inherent nobility, the divine spark, in every single individual, no matter how unfamiliar or different they might seem. This isn't just tolerance, it's active, unconditional love bridging divides.
So it's not enough just to, not harm others. We're called to actively eliminate sorrow and foster inclusion wherever we are. How does one even begin to achieve that? It sounds almost impossible.
And that's exactly what that profound statement implies. Let there be no outcast, no soul left in sorrow where your light has shone. It sets this incredibly high, uncompromising standard for pervasive, unconditional love and service. It means that wherever a follower of these teachings exerts their influence, wherever their light has shone, ideally, there should be no one left feeling excluded, marginalized, or suffering alone. It's an ideal of perfect spiritual responsibility, isn't it? Where your very presence actively eliminates sorrow, fosters inclusion. It's a vision of a world transformed, one person, one community at a time, through the relentless, all-encompassing power of divine love. It encourages us to be so impactful in our kindness that our sphere of influence becomes a haven from despair and isolation.
That's a powerful vision of individual impact. But okay, what does this all mean for building a community rooted in charity? Where these universal principles are collectively embodied. It's one thing for an individual to strive for this, but how does a whole group do it, making it a collective reality?
Moving from the individual to the collective embodiment.
Yes. And Abdu'l-Bahá provides really clear guidance for this kind of community building in Paris talks. Give shelter to the destitute, protect the oppressed, comfort the sorrowful, and love the world of humanity with all your hearts. Ye must have a firm foundation. They shall be as follows. 1. To show compassion and goodwill to all mankind. 2. To render service to humanity. 3. To endeavor to guide and enlighten. 4. To be kind to everyone and show forth affection to every living soul. Strive that your assemblies may be like unto this and may bear even greater fruits.
This passage really offers a practical blueprint for how communities can collectively manifest charity. It reiterates that comprehensive role. Give shelter to the destitute, basic needs, security. Protect the oppressed, active work for justice, standing against wrongs. Comfort the sorrowful, empathy, support for those in pain. And crucially, love the world of humanity with all your hearts. That's the underlying, all-encompassing emotional foundation for everything else. A pure, profound, all-embracing love, the wellspring of their collective efforts. Then Abdu'l-Bahá outlines this firm foundation for assemblies, the pillars for a truly charitable community. Number 1. To show compassion and goodwill to all mankind. That's the foundational attitude, constant benevolence towards everyone, approaching every interaction wanting good, understanding others' circumstances. Number 2, to render service to humanity, the practical manifestation, putting compassion into action, directly addressing needs.
And the third one adds another layer.
Yes, number 3, to endeavor to guide and enlighten. This brings in an intellectual, spiritual dimension. Not just meeting material needs, but sharing knowledge, fostering understanding, helping others on their spiritual and intellectual paths. It's a charity of empowerment, intellectual freedom. And 4th, to be kind to everyone and show forth affection to every living soul. This emphasizes that interpersonal warmth, that genuine love that should characterize all interactions within and beyond the community. Charity isn't cold or detached, it's heartfelt, personal, extending to all life.
So it's not just about what the community does, but how it exists, its very character, its atmosphere. And there's this expectation that this collective effort will produce greater fruits. What does that imply for the impact of such a community?
That exhortation, strive that your assemblies may be like unto this, and may bear even greater fruits. It really emphasizes the collective power of enacted charity. The goal is for community gatherings, community structures, to embody these principles so powerfully that they produce tangible, transformative results, greater fruits. It means the collective effort of individuals united by these principles can achieve far, far more than just isolated acts. It points to this vision of communities as dynamic centers of compassion, service, love, radiating light and upliftment to the surrounding world, becoming living examples of the transformative power of divine love in action.
Like beacons.
Exactly. Beacons, attracting others, fostering further growth, positive change.
That's a truly powerful vision of how a community can embody these teachings. What's really fascinating here, though, is how all these external manifestations of charity, whether individual or collective, ultimately seem to stem from this deep emphasis on internal transformation. He keeps coming back to, it's not just about what you do, but who you become inside.
The inner reality shaping the outer action.
Precisely. Shoghi Effendi, the guardian of the Baha'i Faith, in a letter from way back in February 1925, he writes this: "We must become entirely selfless and devoted to God, so that every day and moment we seek to do only what God would have us do. The Baha'i spirit is carrying love and harmony. Unless we show this transformation, the Baha'i teachings are but a name to us." And then reinforcing this in another letter from October 1944, he was happy to hear that Greenacre was pervaded with love and harmony, instrumental in confirming new souls. This love amongst believers is the magnet which, above all else, attracts hearts to the cause.
These passages really synthesize that spiritual core of charity, don't they? Emphasizing that genuine external action must be rooted in profound internal development. The call to become entirely selfless and devoted to God so that every day and moment we seek to do only what God would have us do, that's the ultimate spiritual goal, isn't it? It means every thought, every intention, every action, including charity, should ideally flow directly from this state of complete surrender, alignment with the divine will. It's about dissolving the ego, allowing God's love and purpose to manifest through you. This isn't just about occasional good deeds. It's a continuous conscious effort to embody divine attributes in your daily life, making selfless service just an intrinsic part of your spiritual journey. And then Shoghi Effendi defines the very Baha'i spirit as caring love and harmony. So it's not just about following rules or believing doctrines. It's about an inner state of being, this pervasive atmosphere of warmth, empathy, unity that radiates outward. That's the true essence.
The spirit behind the actions.
Yes. It implies your spiritual development isn't complete until it manifests as this tangible, compassionate presence in the world. A Baha'i is recognizable not primarily by their words, but by the love and harmony they embody, they inspire in their interactions. This spirit is what makes the teachings alive, vibrant, stops them from being just intellectual concepts.
So if the Baha'i spirit is this caring love and harmony, what are the consequences if that transformation isn't, well, visible in our lives, if we don't show it?
And that leads directly to that crucial statement. Unless we show this transformation, the Baha'i teachings are but a name to us. That's a powerful assertion. Without this interchange manifesting outwardly in our character, in our actions, the teachings lack genuine impact. They lack authenticity. It means just understanding the teachings intellectually or saying you believe them, it's simply not enough. True understanding, true acceptance is demonstrated through a visible, profound transformation of your being, leading to a life characterized by selfless service, love, unity. Without that lived reality, the teachings remain theoretical. A beautiful philosophy, maybe, but inert, not alive.
And it connects directly to the second quote about love being the magnet.
Beautifully reinforced, yes. That love amongst believers is the magnet which, above all else, attracts hearts to the cause. It highlights that genuine, authentic, caring love, manifested through transformed individuals and harmonious communities, that is the most powerful force for spiritual growth, for community building. It's not grand pronouncements or clever arguments, but the lived experience of unconditional love that draws people in. This magnet isn't some kind of strategy. It's the natural outflow of hearts truly dedicated to God and humanity. It shows that the true measure of our spiritual progress lies in the depth of our love, our capacity to create harmony. And that becomes this irresistible force for positive change in the world. Hashtag concluding thought application. So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, it becomes incredibly clear, doesn't it, that charity in the Baha'i writings is just so much more expansive, so much more profound than our conventional ideas. It's not just financial aid, not just random acts of kindness, though it definitely includes those things. It's really a complete reorientation of the self towards the well-being of all humanity, manifested through every aspect of our character, through consistent selfless action, through unconditional love for friend, for stranger, even for those alien souls. And at its heart, it's rooted in devotion to God, seeing service to humanity as the paramount motive of all existence, the very expression of our spiritual life.
A complete way of being.
A complete way of being. And this, I think, raises an important question for you, the listener. How might you personally internalize and express this really comprehensive understanding of charity? Right now, in your own unique circumstances, going beyond those conventional notions of just giving. Maybe it's not a grand gesture this week. Maybe it's a tiny act of selflessness, really, truly listening to a colleague who's struggling, offering genuine compassion to a stranger you pass on the street, deliberately choosing to cultivate harmony in a relationship that feels challenging right now. Think about how your actions, like those beautiful prayers, can help transform the world right around you. radiating that caring love, drawing hearts closer to a shared vision of unity and service, maybe just one small, intentional step at a time. What could that look like for you this week?
That's a powerful challenge and a really beautiful way to think about applying these principles, making them tangible right where we are, day by day, moment by moment. Not some distant ideal, but something real now.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the virtue of charity, as illuminated by the Baha'i writings. We sincerely hope this exploration has offered you some new insights, maybe some inspiration that you can carry forward into your daily life.
We hope so too.
We really encourage you to continue exploring these timeless wisdoms and maybe reflect on how they can shape your own spiritual journey. And please be sure to join us again next week for more devotional deep dives from the Baha'i writings. Our next deep dive will explore another really uplifting virtue, cheerfulness. We definitely look forward to having you with us for that one.